Good day, everyone, especially to you, Dr. Jeah. My name is Jeah Rojo, and today we're going to talk about the Chapter 16, which is the formalities of entry in and exit from the Philippines. So, before anything else, I'm going to provide to you first the topic outline and objectives for this lesson. So, first is for our topic outline, we do have the introduction to entry and exit formalities, which tackles about the sovereignty and immigration control. Next is we do have the admission requirements for foreigners, which will tackle the passport and visa obligations, visa categories under Philippine Immigration Act, and pre-arranged employment visa. Also, next is we do have the Balikbayan program, which will tackle the eligibility and privileges. And also next, we do have the immigration policies for specific nationalities like Chinese, Indian, and South African nationals. Also, we do have the passport requirements, which will tackle the types of passports like diplomatic, official, or regular, and the validity, loss procedures, and documentary replacements. So next also we do have the Philippine passports and travel documents, which will tackle definitions and issuance procedures, conditions for re-entry, and loss reporting. Also, we're going to tackle invalid passports, which will state the fantasy and camouflage passports. Next is we do have the visa requirements, which will tackle visa as a travel endorsement versus actual admission and the restricted nationals. Next is the special types of visas, which will tackle the treaty, trader, or investor visas, special economic zones visas, and investor visas under Executive Order number 63. And also the additional entry requirements like the return tickets, certificates of residence, and Alien Registration Act compliance. And lastly, the application of the law, which tackles legal case analysis on arbitrary detention and due process. And next is for our objectives. We are expected that by the end of the chapter, we would be able to explain the legal framework governing entry and exit in the Philippines, identify the different types of visas and passport requirements for both foreigners and Filipino citizens, to understand the significance of special programs like the Balikbayan program and economic zone visa incentives, also to apply immigration rules to specific nationality-based situations, to recognize the legal implications of non-compliance, including invalid documentation and arbitrary detention, and lastly is to demonstrate knowledge of lawful procedures in cases involving foreign nationals and immigration violations. So, the entry and admission of foreigners into the Philippines is a matter of privilege, as each country has the right to control its territory. So, for this chapter, which we will discuss the legal requirements for both foreigners and Filipinos entering and exiting the Philippines. So, first, we do have the admission requirements for foreigners. So, for valid passport and visa, non-immigrants must present an expired passport or official travel documents and a valid visa. So here are the visa categories. So the Philippine Immigration Act outlines 7 visa categories for non-immigrants. First is we do have the temporary visitor. Next is we do have the transient. Next is we do have the seaman. Fourth is we do have the treaty trader or treaty investor. Fifth is the foreign government official. Sixth is student. Seventh is prearranged employment. So the other types of visa are understandable based on their names, and I will try to provide an information for the pre-arranged employment visa. So these are aliens seeking employment in the Philippines that must obtain a pre-arranged employment visa with authorization from the Commissioner of Immigration. So for that, applicants must provide proof of the nature of work, that no Filipino is qualified for the job, length of employment, wages, reasons for hiring a foreigner, employment contract copies, benefits to the public interest, and proof of valid entry. Next is there will be also additional documents which will include applicant qualifications, alien employment permit, work permits, absence of derogatory information, company financial capacity, and undertakings not to engage in political activity and to use the visa exclusively. So next also is we do have the Balikbayan program. So the Balikbayan program allows Filipino citizens who have been abroad for at least 1 year. So it covers, or under it are the overseas Filipino workers. So from the word Balikbayan. And also former Filipino citizens and their families who were naturalized in another country. So, qualified individuals with foreign passports are allowed visa-free entry for 1 year except for restricted nationals. So for immigration policies towards specific nationalities. So for Chinese, immigration policies have evolved, now allowing temporary visitor or business visas with multiple entries for up to 6 months. So the visa issuance is streamlined with certain requirements, and Chinese citizens can have an initial stay of 59 days. So for Indians, temporary visitor visas are granted if applied for in their country of origin or legal residence, or from any Philippine embassy or consulate if they've previously held a visitor's visa and haven't been denied, blacklisted, or deported. And lastly, for South Africans, restrictions on South Africans were lifted in 1993 by the United Nations General Assembly. Next, as we do have the passport requirements. A passport is an official document of identity and nationality for international travel owned by the issuing government. So there are three types of passports. So first is we do have the diplomatic passports, which are for those with diplomatic status like president and cabinet secretaries. Next is we do have the official passports, which are for government officials on official trips, excluding diplomatic missions. And lastly, the regular passports, which are for private citizens and government employees traveling for personal reasons. So also, passports or travel documents must be valid for at least 6 months upon entry. Foreigners must carry their passports or reproductions to avoid being considered undocumented, and certified copies are advised for facilitating replacement in case of loss. And also, if a passport will be loss of a passport must be reported to the police, the nearest embassy or consulate, and the Bureau of Immigration. So next is we do have Philippine passport and travel documents. So a Philippine passport issued by the Department of Foreign Affairs, or also called as DFA. And now we do have an office here in Bohol at the Alturas Mall, second floor. Certifies the holder's Filipino citizenship for travel. So a travel document is a certification for direct travel to or from the Philippines issued to those with doubtful citizenship, including Filipinos who lost their passports, Filipinos being sent back to the Philippines, alien spouses of Filipinos and their dependents, aliens permanently residing in the Philippines without foreign passports, and stateless permanent residents of refugees. So while a Philippine passport is a proof of citizenship, immigration authorities can deny entry if citizenship isn't established or if there's fraud or misrepresentation. And loss of a Philippine passport should be reported to the DFA or Philippine Foreign Post with an affidavit detailing the circumstances. And the NBI and Bureau of Immigration should also receive copies. And for that, a new passport may be issued 15 days after the affidavit, but this period may be waived in certain situations, such as for Filipinos returning to the Philippines, in which case a travel document may be issued. So next is the fantasy and camouflage passports. So these fantasy passports are invalid travel documents issued by fictitious entities. So these are like the fake passports. So camouflage passports are deceptive, falsely appearing as legitimate documents from defunct or renamed countries. So next also is we do have the visa requirements. So what is really a visa? So a visa is an endorsement on a travel document by a consular official permitting the bearer to proceed to the destination country. However, it doesn't guarantee automatic admission, as that's the function of immigration authorities, and nationals from specific countries are required to secure visas before entering in the Philippines. And for that, the nationals from the following countries are required to secure visas prior to entry into the Philippines. So these are the list of the countries. First, we have the Albania, Afghanistan, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Belize, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Cambodia, Croatia, Cuba, Egypt, Estonia, Macedonia, Nigeria, Georgia, India, Iran, Iraq, Jordan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Laos, Latvia, Lebanon, Libya, Lithuania, Moldova, North Korea, Pakistan, People's Republic of China, Russian Federation, Slovenia, Sudan, Syria, Tajikistan, Tonga, Turkmenistan, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, and the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, or the Serbia, Montenegro. So visitors from countries not on the list may enter without a visa for a stay up to 21 days, provided they have a passport valid for at least 6 months and a return ticket. They may also be allowed to enter the Philippines for a period of 59 days, provided that they have valid visa under Section 9A issued by the Philippine Consulate from the port of departure. So next is we do have the treaty trader or treaty investor visa. So a treaty trader seeks entry to carry on trade between the Philippines and their country under an existing treaty. A treaty investor seeks entry to develop and direct an enterprise in the Philippines, having invested or being in the process of investing a substantial amount of capital. Applicants must prove that they're entering solely for this purpose and are not seeking to evade immigration quotas, intend to depart, their status ends, and that enterprise is real. They must also provide proof of no criminal convictions, no deportation orders, no contagious diseases, and provide a guarantor's name. Treaty, trader, and investor visas are valid for only 1 year. The Philippines has an investment agreement with numerous countries. Also, next, we have the special visas for economic zones. So, first, under it is the Subic Special Investors Visa, which are the foreign nationals visiting the Subic Freeport Zone for business or tourism can enter and stay visa-free for up to 14 days with a valid passport and confirmed onward tickets. And they must leave through Subic Bay International Airport and stay within the secured area unless escorted or with a visa waiver. Next is we do have the Special Economic Zone or Ecozone Visa, which investors in ecozones with at least of $150,000 investment, their spouses and dependent children get permanent resident status with freedom of ingress and egress. So the Philippine Economic Zone Authority or PEZA issues renewable working visas to foreign executives with specialized skills that no Filipino possesses. Next is we also do have the Special Clark Economic Zone visas, which is similar to Subic, that foreign nationals visiting to the Clark Eco Zone for business or tourism can enter visa-free for 14 days with valid documents. So, visas to areas outside the main zone require advance notice and BI escort. Extensions require a visa waiver from the BI with CDC endorsement. So lastly, we do have the Cagayan Economic Zone and Freeport or the SEZA visa, which foreign investors with the minimum of $150,000 investment in their families are granted permanent resident status with freedom of ingress and egress. So SEZA issues renewable working visas to foreign executives or technicians with specialized skills. So the investor visa under Executive Order number 63. Investors in tourist-related projects with 50,000 investment, their spouses and minor children can reside in the Philippines as a special investor residence provided they meet certain conditions with no criminal convictions, no contagious diseases, or no mental disorder. Also, they must visit the country at least twice a year and stay for at least 7 days per visit. And they receive multiple entry special investor resident visas and are exempt from certain fees. And lastly, the visa may be revoked if the investment is withdrawn or transferred without approval. So the additional entry requirements, non-immigrants must have a valid return ticket. Also, certain non-immigrants, like temporary visitors, students, and those with prearranged employment must secure certificates of residence from the Bureau of Immigration. And lastly, foreigners may also be required to register under the Alien Registration Act. So for that, immigration law in the Philippines balances national security, economic development, and human rights. The structured entry and exit formalities ranging from visa classifications to special investor programs aim to regulate and facilitate movement of people across borders. Understanding these legal provisions ensures that individuals, especially foreign nationals, comply with the requirements while protecting their rights. Moreover, institutions and agencies must act within legal boundaries to maintain due process, making this an essential area of study for anyone involved in law, tourism, or immigration policy. And I think that would be all for chapter 16. I hope you have learned something. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day.